So, good evening, friends. Tim Kirby, Imperial News, and with us again is Iben Thranholm, a Danish radio talk show host, journalist, and documentary filmmaker who has a lot of big opinions. And one of her opinions is she's very much worried about the nature of men in Europe. And I know, from what I understand, Iben, you've written extensively that there are essentially no more men in Europe. But I thought women wanted men to be nicer and more polite, and everyone always says that in Sweden they always see men pushing the baby carriage, and isn't that a step forward?
Well, I'm not only writing about this. Actually, for the time being, I'm hosting a program on the Me Too movement, and so I see, I look at all the aspects of this war on masculinity, because of course there are women that has been harassed, where there are some very serious cases. But in general, I think that the Me Too movement is an extended war on masculinity and on men in general. And I see how much masculinity has been weakened in Europe, and most of men have a feminine approach. And, it is a huge paradox that it seems that, a lot of people, or a lot of women, when they talk about men, they want them to be emasculated and domesticated, but they prefer actually a more masculine man if they should point to a man that they would be attracted to. So this is a huge paradox, but I think that Me Too has the potential to change our culture, where masculinity will be erased from the surface. And I think that is something that is very scary. Can you imagine what a world would be like without masculinity?
Well, for me personally, it doesn't sound very fun, but we're not talking about me today. But one thing, especially the word me, why is this movement called Me Too? What do they mean by that? Maybe some people might not know about all that.
Well, it all started with one actress that was harassed. I think she was even raped by this Hollywood producer, Harvey Weinstein. And she came out and she told the story. And then suddenly other women came out and told the same story with Harvey Weinstein, that he also actually had been harassing them. And then, suddenly it became a movement where more and more women came out, especially from Hollywood, telling that me too, I too have been harassed. And then it started with, other fields, with this program I'm making. We're talking to a lot of women from different walks of life which have had these experiences. But I think, of course, it should not happen. I mean, men should treat women properly, and they should have respect and be gentlemen. But I don't really think that this is about harassment only. I think it is an orchestrated attack on masculinity in general, because it fits with a certain political agenda, which is, feminism. And feminism is also a tool of Marxism. They want a kind of social revolution. I mean, think about when Trump was elected president. It was the women that were accusing him of being a sexist. And still, I mean, Trump is being accused of that. So it was already building up. So I think the Me Too movement was just a natural consequence of feminism trying to take over. And I think it's part of this social warrior revolution that we're facing in the West.
That's very dangerous about this is the fact that I don't believe that even Weinstein has gotten to court yet, because this is all about accusations.
Exactly.
And Weinstein is already guilty. No one cares whether he is or he isn't. I have very little faith in Hollywood producers, and I think my gut would tell me that he probably did do something. But the thing is they just want people to believe that any accusation just counts. And where's the court of law? Where's due process? Because if you just accuse someone of being a child molester or a rapist, they have to live with that, whether they did it or not.
Yeah, I have been talking a lot about that in my program. And I even had a law professor the other day in the studio, and she was very concerned too, and said now the Me Too movement has a potential to create its own laws. And it means that they can remove any man just by accusing him. So it means that our civil society is also disintegrating because of these women. And it's quite serious. And I think people should understand that this movement is actually gaining power. So it means that they can rule over men. And I think that the new class to be removed, to be executed, is actually the white heterosexual man. And this is, I mean, because he's also an icon of a whole culture, which is the Christian culture. So they want to simply kill this kind of culture, to completely destroy it. And that's why they are aiming at this male type, which is the white heterosexual male, which has power. So he's also representing a culture. It's very important to see that this is actually a political battle more than it's just about women's rights.
Well, then what should actually be done then? Instead of this Me Too movement, if there are women in Hollywood who feel that they've been legitimately sexually harassed, as in almost raped or attacked, invited to parties, and let's just say there's high expectations of them at these parties, what should they do then instead? How should this be handled?
First of all, women have to decide what they want. I mean, how high a price they want to pay for their career. And some, because we have had a lot of cases where women, they somehow let the man harass them because they wanted to achieve something. And then suddenly they decided, oh, I don't want to go any further because I don't like this. But then they have already been accepting some kind of harassment. So women have to make up their mind, how far do I want to go? And if I don't want to put myself in that situation, I should maybe not have an encounter with these people or this man. So you have to take responsibility yourself as a woman. And if something happens that is beyond your control, you should go to the police immediately and don't wait 10 years to tell the story. You should go immediately to the police and say somebody was raping me, or I was harassed very seriously. So you should not just hide it and say, well, I don't want to talk about it. I think it's very important just to go to the police and otherwise take responsibility. Or if you are in a meeting where you see this is not going in the direction I want, just leave the meeting. Say, well, I'm out of this.
Oh, yes.
I don't want to participate.
After 10 years, it's very hard to prove something in a court.
Exactly.
Iben Thranholm, thank you very much for being with us.
Thank you.